Good morning. Welcome to Leon County Today with Sheriff Walt McNeil. And Sheriff, it's been a few weeks since we've been back recording, but good to be back in the saddle.
It is absolutely good to be back, and we got a great show for the folks today, I tell you.
We do. We're talking about our detention facility. You know, I remember early on in your administration, you changed the name from the Leon County Jail to the detention facility, and there are a lot of complex components that I don't think maybe the average citizen realizes.
Yeah, we didn't change the name. It was always a detention facility. In fact, the detention facility was built for a capacity that dealt with persons who weren't going into long-term prison sentences, only there for 30 days or so. So it's significant that we don't have a prison per se.
Right.
We have a detention facility. Now, what that also means is that we have a number of persons who are there for short-term. They are sentenced there to us. Some are sentenced on to the state prison system, but most of the folks are going to get out in less than 365 days. And what that means for us in our community is those folks are coming back in our community. And what we've tried to do is to make sure we've got enough resources in our detention facility so that we can do everything we can to make those persons as whole as we possibly can as they come back into our community. And the recidivism rate of folks that are going to prison, coming to our detention facility, and coming back to our communities, and never actually being impacted in a positive way.
Right.
So we've been, over the last 4 or 5 years, we've been trying to make sure that we can do everything we can to get those persons in a better place. And a lot of that has to do with our mental health system in our detention facility. About 40% of our folks who are in our detention facilities suffer from some level of mental illness. And that's something that's been a thorn in our side in terms of trying to get these folks turned around and back in our community. And I'm happy to say we're having some success now, working with our provider, Yes Care, and working with our staff and working with folks in the community. Those providers in our community are helping us as well. So I'm very excited about the prospects of what it looks like for us going forward. But again, Sean, I have to say it, we keep talking about being all in. It's going to take everybody in this community engaged in understanding that we all have a role to play in making sure these persons get the resources they need to come back in our community and be people who are adding value to our society and our community.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about today's show because we are talking about mental health, and we have one of our guests today is one of our health care professionals over at the detention facility who truly made an impact.
Oh, absolutely. You're talking about somebody who saw a problem, engaged, went outside of her comfort zone, if you will, and basically, for all practical purposes, saved a life.
Yeah.
And we say in law enforcement, that's perhaps the most rewarding thing you can possibly do is, in our profession, engage in a situation where you will become a lifesaver. Because that's what it's all about. It's all about our being able to engage and find people in bad situations and then bring some relief to them. And this employee we're going to talk about, this private employee we're going to talk about here shortly, did that, and we're very proud to have her on the program and to hear her talk about what happened firsthand.
Absolutely. Well, be sure to stick around, everyone. Coming up, we are talking about inmates and their mental health and how One Health professionals' quick thinking helped to save a life. Stay with us.
Good morning. I'm Captain Jimmy Goodman with the Leon County Sheriff's Office, and this is your Crime Tip Tuesday. ATM safety. Choose your ATM carefully. Avoid nighttime transactions. Always be aware of your surroundings. Lock your doors at drive-through ATMs. Look for card skimmers. Cover your hand while entering your PIN number. Do not count money at the ATM. Have a great week. Stay safe out there.
Welcome back. Joining me now is Assistant Sheriff for Detention Services, Steve Harrelson. Steve, in addition to detention facility, you also have judicial. Talk about your history at the Leon County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, sir. Been with the Sheriff's Office for over 33 years. Predominantly, I worked on the law enforcement side, moved up through the ranks there, became your chief when you came in the office, and then at one point I went over and was the director for the CDA, and then I came back as your assistant sheriff over detention services where I'm currently serving.
You know, Steve, first of all, thank you for the great job you've done going into our detention facility. But most people don't realize the magnitude of the work that we do in mental health in our facility. Talk about that a little bit. What's your experience been, and how are we dealing with the mental health issues of some of the inmates we have in there?
Well, it's such a big issue now. I mean, in the past, we didn't really worry about mental health. We basically put them in the detention facility and but that has become such a predominantly great topic to talk about because, as you said earlier, our population is going up with folks with mental health diagnosis. So we have done things, and a lot of stuff we do is a combination of things. So with our mental health services that we have through YesCare, and Brianna will be coming on in just a moment to talk about some more of the stuff that they do. But we have upgraded that services. I mean, they do counseling now. Folks that are threatened suicide, they get in there and do the direct observation with them and counsel them before we take them off direct observation. We also have our mental health pod that we worked on. We have made that more of a more inviting environment. It's not your traditional housing unit with different furniture and stuff like that. We're increasing our mental health services through group therapies and such like that. Our partnerships with the community through Appalachia and through Behavioral Health Services and Florida State Hospital. Even our collaboration with the courts, we're more in tune with them, talking with them about these cases and people sentenced do have mental health diagnosis.
Yes, Steve, talk more in detail about the relationship we have with Appalachia Mental Health and the state dollars we've been able to secure with respect to trying to broaden our impact on mental health for folks who are in our detention facility. Talk about that in more detail. What's that like, and what kind of outcomes are we receiving?
Well, we've actually built this bridge, so in folks that are in the facility now, we actually have a member from Appalachia Mental Health Services, part of the first team, and their job is to liaison with the inmates that we have in the facility that are returning back to the community, so they provide that bridge to community resources that before we didn't have that before. So they work closely with them. They also collaborate with our YesCare mental health staff that we have on board with them. And with our new thing we're having with our mental health ombudsman that we'll be having coming on pretty soon, this whole team that pretty much you have put together to develop a robust mental health services package for folks that are suffering from mental health.
Yeah, talk more about that, Steve, particularly as relates to YesCare and how they're providing those services. And we're going to talk about Brianna in just a minute, but talk about how important that relationship is to our being able to provide those inmates with the right amount of services that they need before they go back in the community.
Well, we're extremely lucky to have YesCare with us and the services they provide for our inmates, not just medical, but with the mental health crew that we have. I mean, they're very engaged with the inmates who are suffering from mental health issues. Like I said earlier, anybody who's on direct observation because they made threats, they work very closely with them to kind of do a step-down program. So we make sure we don't take them off of that too soon. They're constantly meeting with them and talking with them, monitoring their medications, making sure they have the right kind. YesCare also provides a bridge for us, so when they leave the facility, they have a 30-day bridge of mental health medication to carry them through till they get with their provider.
Yeah, in about 30 seconds, talk about our reentry initiative and how the YesCare works with us in getting those persons back in our community.
It's all a collaborative thing. We work together, so that's one great thing. We got a really robust team that do a lot of things, but our reentry basically, they work with YesCare. When we have folks that do have mental health services, they need particular things when they return, not just a job. So working with YesCare, they set up with local providers that we have on record for us to work with, and then we're able to do the handoff from the facility to the providers in partnership with YesCare through our reentry group.
Thank you, Steve. Up next, we speak with a healthcare professional credited with helping to save the life of one of our inmates. Stay tuned. We're back with Brianna Atkins, Mental Health Director for YesCare at the Leon County Detention Facility. Brianna, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us your background working in our detention facility.
Okay, well, I actually haven't been at the detention facility for too long. I've only been here for like a year. But as far as my mental health background, I've been in the mental health field for about 10 years. So I've actually have experience working in community mental health as well as with youth and foster care facilities as well as the prisons.
For a year, you've done a lot. I tell you, in 12 months, you've made a huge impact on the Leon County Sheriff's Office. Talk about the occasion where you, at our detention facility, had the occasion to save a life. Talk about what happened and what did you do to come to the aid of that inmate.
So that was actually a pretty interesting day. We have a mental health concern line where friends and family can actually call and let us know if anyone has like any mental health issues, if they have any concerns on the inmates that's within our facility. So this particular day, I actually had an ex-inmate call. He had overdosed and he didn't want to give me the location of where he was. And I knew at that moment that I could not hang up the phone. I cannot allow this person to die because he's come too far.
Yeah.
So I continuously stayed on the phone with him. I had him talk with me. We talked about the progress he's made. We talked about the coping skills that he was able to utilize while he was in our facility. And I was able to successfully get him to provide me with an address so I could send EMS to make sure that he was taken care of. So in the midst of that, I was also able to contact my psychiatrist that works for me, and I was able to get her to give me like all the side effects based off the medications that he took. And we actually just went through those side effects with him so that he would know and understand the dangers. As long as he was not getting treatment, he was in danger of dying at that point.
Wow, wow. Tell you, that's just breathtaking. Thank you for your service. It seems that it's a lot of hard work that you do. So talk to us about why do you do this work? What's fulfilling for you?
I think this line of work is very fulfilling for me, mostly because I have the rare opportunity to have worked in the mental health setting and community mental health settings, to where I've seen some of these individuals grow up like as youth, and they've experienced trauma, they've experienced like neglect, and a lot of them, they had like a hard time in life. So at this point, it's kind of like just a circle for me where I'm able to kind of step in, intervene, and try to plant seeds in their life in hopes that they utilize the coping skills that we talk about. They're able to better process through the things that cause them stress and anxiety, and they're able to make better choices, different choices, where they won't come back into the facility.
Wow. Brianna, what should our viewers know about the job you do and the other healthcare providers in our detention facilities? What one or two things you want to share with the community out there about what you do and why it's so important to you and why it's so important to those of us who work at Leon County Sheriff's Office?
It's definitely important because, like you said earlier, the mental health rate at the detention facility is continuously growing. And we do have some severely acute inmates that's within the facility. So our job is to make sure that we try to provide exceptional care within the facility. And it'll be also beneficial for our inmates that we serve, that if they have any loved ones, if they have family, friends that do care for them and know that they're suffering from mental health issues, to just contact them, call them, provide that social support, because social support is very beneficial for mental health. It helps the inmates, it makes sure that they're going to be compliant with treatment, and it encourages them to make sure that they're consistent with their treatment so they can become better mental health wise as well as medically.
Brianna, again, thank you. You've done a tremendously great job for us at our detention facility. We've got about 30 or 40 minutes left, or seconds left, I should say. What would you like to say to our audience out there about a career in detention?
Detention is very fulfilling. It's one of the, I guess, the only environments where if you're in the mental health field and you're familiar with the DSM, where you would see every diagnosis into its true state within that textbook, and you can actually make a difference in someone's life, no matter what you're working on within the mental health field, whether you're a case manager, whether you're a behavioral health technician, you are going to make an impact within this field.
Brianna, thank you so much for what you do. Just ahead in our Deputy on Duty segment, LCSO History on Display. Find out how you can get an up-close look at items from the Bundy investigation and other artifacts. Stay tuned.
In this week's Deputy on Duty, we're giving you a tour of the New History Museum located at the Larry Campbell Administration Building of the Leon County Sheriff's Office, and the story of how those plans and everything inside all came together.
What do we do? History's always intrigued me anyway, And so it's interesting to find out the things that you don't know about the place where you work.
Sergeant Dave Teams played a major role in planning the museum as part of the recent renovations of the lobby. With nearly 20 years of service at LCSO, he's a walking encyclopedia when it comes to all things past and present related to the agency's history.
We have a very storied history here between the investigations that we've done and just the part of the community that we have been. We've been around for, gosh, almost 200 years now.
A self-proclaimed history buff, Sergeant Teams' search for knowledge kicked into high gear during the start of the pandemic.
So I had to find something to do. I've always got to be busy. So when this started, I literally started a newspapers.com account and started looking into what's our history, just as a sheriff overall here in the county. And I just started delving into it. Where are we at? What happens? What are we doing? What did we do in our past? And start learning about who the sheriffs were, what we've done, how things have kind of played out over the years. And that turned into, well, I really wonder what we did with this. Well, what did that badge look like? Well, what did we do with this portion of it?
And as he continued to find all the digital and historical data to fill in gaps, he took his research one step further and hit a gold mine of resources.
And I started reaching out to families, people that had retired, family members, even like of people that had been the sheriff back in the early 1900s, trying to see if they had any old pictures or anything. It just kind of became, I want to say obsession, but pretty close.
And with those contacts, Sergeant Teams began to collect memorabilia like old LCSO patches and uniforms. And then there are artifacts found in locations connected to the early days of the agency.
It's amazing when you look around at some of the stuff that's in this room. We have a badge that was from the 1880s that literally got dug up at the old jail over on Gaines Street.
Also on display are various restraints and other equipment used by deputies in decades past, along with photographs and so much more, including some items related to the Ted Bundy case.
It's important that we remember our history no matter what, good, bad, ugly.
While the space is small, there's no shortage of items in these display cases, and there are plans in the works to feature rotating exhibits of so much more. Sergeant Teams says he could use your help to find some hidden gems.
If there's anybody that has something that they think would go well in the museum, they don't have to donate it. They can actually put it on loan with the sheriff's office and say, hey, let's put this out here for a little bit. I'd love for people to see.
And that includes any candid pictures of your loved ones who may have worked for the Leon County Sheriff's Office, standing next to their agency vehicles or dressed in uniforms of years past. We'd love to share their stories too. You can contact us through our website for more information. That's leoncountyso.com. I'm Angela Green for Leon County Today.
Welcome back to Leon County Today with Sheriff Walt McNeil. And Sheriff, listening to Sergeant Teams, you can really feel his passion for collecting all these artifacts from over the years.
Oh, and I don't blame him. I mean, the history of the Leon County Sheriff's Office is deep and rich. I mean, you look at our wall, we got the walls of all the previous sheriffs going back to the 1800s, and then you talk about bringing it up to date with respect to the Ted Bundy investigation, and then the things we're doing today. It's just a tremendous opportunity for citizens to come out, look at the rich history of their community, and see what's taking place and be a part of it. And I'm just happy that we're able to build that as a part of the Leon County Sheriff's Office. But it's not about us; it's about the community. So we hope that citizens will come out, be engaged with our Citizens Advisory Committee or our ride-alongs that you guys put on for the citizens. And come and see what's taking place in the Leon County Sheriff's Office and what that rich history is all about.
Yeah, truly be all in for sure. And how impressed are we with Brianna from our health professionals over at the detention facility?
Oh my God, she just blew me away, I tell you that. And obviously, we've got a great asset with Yes Care and the people like Brianna that's there and really care about the inmates.
Yes.
You could see that in every word that she spoke. It was all about the inmates and the opportunity she took to get into details in terms of making that phone call and looking and see how the medication would impact on the person she was talking to on the phone. Just shows the kind of professionalism that we have in the Leon County Sheriff's Office and our partners. So I'm just delighted to be your sheriff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that's a great note to conclude on today.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we want to thank you all for joining us for another episode of Leon County Today. We'll see you back here next week.